Even though they didn't quite have that early game advantage, they were still able to set up these plays, and then when they got a lead, they looked super clean.
So we've got some mid lane bans coming out once again here, trying to shut Wuming down. So we ban the LeBlanc, the Karma, and then the Cassiopeia is respect banned away from Twila as well. So a lot of bans towards these mid lane players, but Rogue Warriors also just want to get rid of that Aphelios now they're over on the red side again.
Wonder if the Graves will once again be the ban here for DMO. I think it's a really strong one, unless they want to first pick it for Xiaopeng, but definitely in my eyes, Xiaopeng's had a better impact on the Lee Sins, the Rek'Sais, these type of things.
Yeah, Xiaopeng always looks fantastic on the Lee Sin, and the Graves will be banned by DMO. It's answered by a Syndra ban on towards Twila. So we have 4 mid lane bans here in the first phase, but it means
holy moly,
Varus has made it through, which we don't get to see very often here in the LPL.
Honestly, it didn't even click with me that Varus was going to be a pick because it's been that long since I've actually cast a Varus game.
He has a 0% win rate because he got through one time and it didn't look so good. But I assure you it's busted. In the meantime, Nidalee also made it through. So we've got super strong arrows on one side of the map and we've got super strong spears on the other.
And I want to see now what Rogue Warriors' game plan is here. So if they're going to double down on this poke composition, go towards something like Corki for Wuming, and then go with an Ezreal for ZWuJi or something along these lines. But we'll have to see what the game plan is here. But already Rogue Warriors definitely looking like a very heavy mid to early game team with the Renekton and the Nidalee locked in.
Definitely feels like mid-game power, but it also feels like comfort, right? Because Holder looked great on the Renekton in the last game. We've seen Haro play the Nidalee before plenty in the past. He's only got 1 on it this split, but we've seen it in times gone by. But the Lee Sin going to be locked in here once again for Xiaopeng. We already talked about it. It's definitely one of his comfort picks.
And now I imagine that we're going to see an AD carry locked in here for Rogue Warriors. I think going towards something with a mid-game or early-game focus would be best here. Kalista, I think, would be a perfect spot because when you look at the team comp that they have, you're definitely like, Renekton falls off when he gets past 2 items. Nidalee begins to fall off that stage as well. The Kai'Sa, though, is basically, okay, well, we want to get in and try and dive in on top of DMO, and I don't think this is the worst call either if they're not going to go towards poke, because there is an opportunity here for xubin to just sit back with those long-range missiles and try and pick you off. So at least if you want to go heavily into get in on top of the team, well then Kai'Sa can work well to close that gap and not give the opportunity for his poke to come in.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to commit to like full-on dive here from Rogue Warriors, where they all just want to jump in together. We'll see how that's going to work out for them. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see DMO ban something like the Galio, to be quite honest, just to stop Wuming being able to jump in alongside everyone and get knockups across the team.
Potential there. You can already see, though, they're eyeing up the likes of the set, which does fit into that dive style of composition. Stuff like the Nautilus as well could also be another ban, potentially, because just the guaranteed CC off the ultimate and also just how potent that hook could be could work out quite well, but Lei has been going towards the Thresh a lot, so that could also be the ban here from DMO.
Irelia Soul, just for anyone that doesn't watch DMO regularly, that is a pick that Twila goes for. It's Twila and Teachmar kind of the 2 players that are willing to go for the A-Sol. But you mentioned the Nautilus ban. It's going to be Thresh taken off here by DMO, and that's purely because Lei has, whenever it's available, he's going to go for that Thresh. He's pretty much becoming a one-trick, honestly.
Okay, that's another pick, though. Oh, no, come on, give me the Pantheon. I was going to say that's another pick that works super well here. Gives you that guaranteed dive and backline access because you can have the ultimate that comes in from super far away. It's not something Lei has played yet, but we have seen it in the LPL. But unfortunately, we aren't going to be getting it. It will be Nautilus and potentially Leona here, giving a strong bottom lane matchup for DMO.
Yeah, it certainly feels good for them. And I mean, Leona with Lethality Varus is actually terrifying because it might not sound like they go together well, but the all-in potential there is horrific.
Especially against something like a Kai'Sa, a short-range AD carry, even onto the Nautilus as well. Like, the W from Leona gives you so much inherent magic resist and that defensive stats that you just can't really deal with it as Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, I mean horrific in a good way, like as in like something out of a horror book, like horrifying kind of thing. Anyway, Orianna gonna come through here from Twila. We usually see him on the Zillion, and he's gonna be sticking to the clockwork theme here with Orianna in the mid lane. And now Rogue Warriors have to decide what they want to go for in the mid lane. And it's looking like maybe not the Galio, maybe something that can be a little bit more proactive and do some damage.
if there's ever a time for Wuming to bring out the Yasuo, it could be now. But there is a lot of AP, but no. Gonna go towards the Sylas. I mean, look, it makes sense here. Again, heavy dive focus, trying to get in onto the likes of DMO. It just... Oh, actually, it's going to be Renekton mid. So, I was curious to see what way they're going to play this, because, look, the Sylas can steal away the Ornn ultimate and be that big engage to help with this dive prospect. And now Wuming on this Renekton can actually get and be quite aggressive against this Orianna. Orianna doesn't have a huge amount of ways to escape away from the all-in. You do have a little bit of speed up, a little bit of shield, obviously, but still this Renekton can do a reasonably good job against the Orianna.
I'm really curious how this one's going to go down with a Renekton in the mid lane. It's the Croc against the Clockwork Girl. But we're jumping into game number 3, and you know what? It couldn't have gone any other way, could it, Dagda? We're going to 3 games here for our first series of the day. It's Rogue Warriors against DMO, and in the draft, we've got some craziness from Rogue Warriors as they've got that Nidalee in the jungle. They've got a Sylas in the top lane and a Renekton in the mid lane. I mean, we're going full LPL, Dagda.
We definitely are, and it feels like a lot of the weight of the Rogue Warriors composition is going to be on ZWuJi's shoulders, and a certain amount on Holder as well. Trying to have that Sylas set up super effectively for these fights, trying to get in on towards this back line. But definitely, ZWuJi, you're on a short range AD carry that wants to be diving in with this composition, but you've got CC from Ornn, from Varus, from the Leona, and even from Xiaopeng as well, who's going to be gunning for you. So the ability of ZWuJi to operate in these team fights is going to be really difficult.
It's going to be tough in the lane as well, because we've got this lethality. I'm assuming it's lethality Varus, at least. It could be on hit, but, I mean, the odds of that seem pretty slim to me. We'll have to wait and see once we get the runes back up on your screen. But, yeah, Varus has got through. This is the second time this entire split that we're going to see Varus in the game. It's going to be in the hands of xubin, and it is going to be that lethality Varus that we all know to fear.
And that level 6 in the bottom lane is so nasty. With xubin having that Chains of Corruption into all the CC this Leona can offer, if ZWuJi gets hit, I don't care if you have Cleanse. There's so much follow-up there that you are going to go down. So honestly, I think if I'm Xiaopeng, I'm playing super heavily down towards this bottom side. Maybe helping Twila out to a certain extent, but I don't think that's your main port of call. It is certainly to try and set up xubin here.
Electrocute here on Haro as well. That's how you know he's going to be going all in for these fights. And once again, 2 pretty aggressive junglers coming out from this jungle matchup. This is the matchup we were talking about coming into the series at the start of the day. Haro against Xiaopeng. And it has very much lived up to the expectation here that both of these junglers have been the driving forces for their teams, the ones setting up the plays in the early game. But it has to be said, in the early game specifically, it's been Haro coming out on top.
And he has the potential here to do the same. You are in the Nidalee, you can... It's not so much focused on ganks, it's more so on trying to clear out the enemy jungle and get into fight against Xiaopeng.
Oh, what a hook out of Lei. This is a really nice early trade straight on towards xubin. Yue will answer it somewhat, but if Lei can keep that up, maybe Varus ain't so good.
Yeah. I mean, look, if anyone is going to keep hitting these, or, well, walking into hooks, any AD carry is going to look pretty poor. But Lei will need to try and keep those up. You can see that poke, though, is going to be something ZWuJi will struggle with, especially with that corrupting potion there as well. The trades need to go heavily in ZWuJi's favor for them to win.
So xubin obviously will have exceptionally long cooldown to start the game. That was an exhaust used by Yue as well. But we will just reset in that bottom lane. I don't anticipate too much aggression out of DMO for the first couple of levels, just because that lethality Varus, you do need to poke him down a little bit first, but also, as I mentioned before, your cooldowns on your E and on your Q are like almost 20 seconds to start the game off.
Haro, though, has made it towards this top side. Holder, kind of low, though.
Chelizi's going to be slowed by the red buff here. Flash available, but the Searing Charge already used. That's just going to be flash from Holder, as he is desperate to finish this kill off, but if that ain't a high value flash from Chelizi, I don't know what is, because it means he can answer the kill here, and Xiaopeng moving up. No way is he going to commit to diving this one. He might do. Is Holder sticking around? Oh, hang on. Chelizi teleports in. Holder could be baited here, because you can see Xiaopeng hovering in the tri-brush. She's going to move towards this lane.
They're looking for the dive.
I think you might just be right on that one, Dagda, because Chelizi He may be slow as a snail, but he is eventually going to push this wave under, gets the knock up straight onto Holder. There's the Sonic Wave. Beautifully done here by DMO.
And that was a fantastic play from Chelizi to set up that event. But Haro's back in mid.
We are going to have non-stop action this game. Flash for the stun from Wuming. Twila gets over the wall. One more spear would do the job from Haro if he can land it. He's not even going to go for it.
No, he's not. Twila able to escape away from that one. So when all is said and done, look, again, Haro's trying to have this big influence on the map, but unfortunately not quite able to get as much as he would like. Chelizi actually opting for the Executioner's Calling in his top lane as well, but just to try and help with the grievous wounds towards Holder, but still, he's looking really strong here, picking up the kill, now having a big advantage over Sylas, and this is a matchup that Ornn can actually do relatively well in, and will be looking to try and continue pushing forward. It'll be curious to see, though, if Haro, off of burning that flash and the exhaust in mid lane, can set up again with Wuming to try and have a play out to Twila.
I do just want to dig a little bit deeper there, though, Dagda, onto this Executioner's Calling, because even if you want the mortal wounds, surely a Bramble Vest is just... like, even against an AP champion, surely the Bramble Vest is still just better for Ornn.
I would agree, but it's also a lot cheaper. Like, it's the 1,000+ gold that you end up spending on the Bramble Vest versus the 800 on the Executioners. It feels more like he was like, right, I can get this right now, but you are Ornn, so at the same time you can just go towards, like, go to lane and then just make the play after. But yeah, I mean, look, it does the job on both sides. It's a bit more aggressive in the lane because you do have AD versus tanky stats, so we'll have to see if he can punish and make this work when he does have the plays.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I'm certainly willing to be proven wrong here as ZWuJi takes a couple of hits, but ZWuJi can't quite finish off his plasma stacks there. Important to mention he's going for lethal tempo, not Hail of Blades, not press the attack, so ZWuJi very much looking towards the later game team fights. Dragon is on the map here, and it has been kind of all over the place on who's controlled it across this series.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has been DMO at least from game 2 onwards, and they're looking to keep that trend going. Just on that lethal tempo as well, usually we see the lethal tempo more so with a crit AD carry, so I would imagine that we're going to see ZWuJi going towards more of the crit style of Kai'Sa, because you want the Hail of Blades to quickly proc your passive, and that's where a lot of the damage from an AP style of Kai'Sa comes from. So I imagine that he's going to be looking to really have an impact when he gets towards those bigger Infinity Edge offers.
I'll have to wait and see where he goes with his build, and that's the beauty of Kai'Sa, right? You never really truly can tell. We've seen Kai'Sas, I mean, even if the runes are built in a certain way, they don't always actually go the right way.
True, but I think in this one it's more because look at the amount of AP damage that's on Rogue Warriors. You've got Haro, you've got Holder. You would, if ZWuJi went this AP build, be investing a lot into just magic. And magic resist pays off more when you buy it versus AP champions versus the likes of armor. So I think definitely here for from DMO's point of view, if they saw ZWuJi was going towards this AP Kai'Sa, Chelizi would be grinning from ear to ear.
So let's revisit this bottom lane, because we've been talking about lethality Varus, and let's, just for context here, this is the second time this is being picked as Xiaopeng takes a massive chunk of damage out of Wuming there, but he'll get away with his life. But yeah, this is the second time that Varus has been allowed through the draft here in the LPL Summer Split. I don't have time to talk about that. Xiaopeng has to flash over the wall here. Isn't going to get hit by the spear, but it does mean that Haro can just move in and snag this red buff for himself.
Yue is here. We do have a good amount of poke that can come through for Xubin, but I think when I'm looking at DMO, it's right. We're just going to hand this off. We don't want to give the opportunity for Rogue Warriors to run away with this early game. It looks like third time's the charm. They will learn this time, but it does mean that the later game scaling that DMO have on their side, where you've got Ornn, you've got this Orianna, and you've got the Ornn items that can come through to help out some of this squad, well, you just end up hitting a stronger late game. Don't try and force the issue in the early stages.
Doesn't feel like they're going to force the issue either. It's going to be Rift Herald spawning in just under 30 seconds, or just under 5 seconds, in fact, in that top side of the map. And you can see Xiaopeng moving towards that half of the map himself, but Haro will farm his way in that direction as well. I do just want to quickly talk about the Varus while I've got a second here, because he's got a serrated Dirk now, and you can see that damage is starting to ramp up. That only gets worse from here. Like, this isn't even his final form. We've got an ult in the top lane.
Order?
And that's going to be it. He's just going to use it to clear the wave.
The problem is, though, you don't have it for a Rift Herald fight now, and Rogue Warriors could have done a pretty decent job of going for this. You've got Wuming who controls mid. Holder could have kept that ultimate to enable Wuming in these fights, but using that to just clear the wave means that, look, now DMO can go towards this Rift Herald when Rogue Warriors should have the stronger 3v3.
Pretty nice from DMO here. Let's just, like, bring in context that, you know, in this series, Rogue Warriors have been the stronger early game team. I think that's fair to say. But historically, DMO's wins are from early game strength as well. Generally, it's less chaotic. It's more about early game macro, more about early game set plays like the tower dive we saw in the bottom lane last game. But they are still very much an early game team. xubin could be in trouble here if Lei can find himself a hook. Flash is available. Ignite is available. xubin's level 6, though, and that scan is going to ruin everything.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate there, but it does mean ZWuJi will get spotted out, can clear out these wards. Looking towards this top side, though, look at where Wuming is, look at where Haro is. They're trying to make these plays, and I like how Wuming is supporting Haro. This is something that we didn't see a lot from Ruby, and is enabling a bit of a braver, deadlier Haro when it comes to the jungle. But unfortunately, they're a bit late on the move and can't quite steal away the move.
Yeah, going to be a little bit slow to the mark there. Let's just kind of take stock of where we're at so far in this game. Because for the first time in this series, we're heading towards 10 minutes and nobody has a gold lead. There are no towers that have gone down. There's a singular Drake that's been taken. There's only been 3 kills back there. I feel like I don't know. I feel like we're watching completely separate teams now.
Well, I mean, don't forget, at this point in the last game, we were looking at a 3,500 gold lead for Rogue Warriors. So definitely a slower paced game. But look, that favors DMO here, where they can wait for Chelizi to pick up a few of these items and get towards that later game with xubin as well. So DMO are happy to play this style. Plus, they're the ones getting all these objectives.
It is worth mentioning, though, that Rogue Warriors, if they are playing this slow, they've opted into this. Like, if there's one thing I'll say about Rogue Warriors, like, they're not the kind of team that's just going to play so slow just for the sake of playing slow.
Well, the thing is, you don't have enough of a guaranteed setup in a lot of these places. So ZWuJi and Lei, which is the lane that we usually see them
I don't know if
through.
they ever have a guaranteed setup. This is Rogue Warriors we're talking about.
But ZWuJi and Lei can't set up these plays as well because they're actually in a losing matchup. And especially when you hit level 6, we talked about how potent that is. A potential turnaround gank from Xiaopeng can ruin all that. And Wuming is the one that needs to make plays.
Hang on, they're making the plays now. Lei goes straight on in, as was everyone. Rogue Warriors just out of nowhere pop off and find themselves a kill. Now Dragon is up and available.
So they should be able to turn towards this. Chelizi had started to try and move down, but unfortunately they know it's a 4 versus 5, no point to try and commit. xubin, though, could try and get some decent poke here underneath this Dragon.
He could just look to steal the Dragon. The WQ is terrifying, but it's not quite going to do it in time there. Haro steals it away. Oh, I say steals it. Haro finishes it off in the end. He's already finished off his Runic Echoes as well. Haro is getting ahead once again in this jungle matchup.
So that was Rogue Warriors making a play off of what I was trying to get at before that all kicked off, was that they need Wuming to be the one to help out, but
You ain't got time, Dagda. We're not going to be talking about any analysis anymore this game. It's kicked off. ZWuJi just going to get some damage down onto UA.
But that's what I mean, is that even if you make this play onto the bottom side, yes, you can try and make some plays, but you don't have enough damage right now to try and burst out the bottom lane, especially if you don't get onto xubin. So you need Wuming to interact with this bottom lane to set up plays, and he's only getting brief windows because it's Renekton versus Orianna. Top side, though, DMO will get to use this Rift.
I'm a little bit surprised they're going to commit it to the top tower when they've got Ornn, but this... Oh, what? Holder! That is unbelievable. Xiaopeng way oversteps, and Holder happy to punish.
Massive mistake. So you do get those turret plates going across, but it's turned around when you look at the gold value pretty much in favor of Holder. Now, though, Rogue Warriors trying to emphasize this even more with committing players towards this top side.
I just can't believe he got a kill there. Xiaopeng vanished. Like, I honestly kind of want to see... I don't know if we'll get a replay of that or not, but honestly, I just didn't even see him go down.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got a lot of damage as Holder, because don't forget, you get all of the AP ratios that are already on that ultimate from, or at least, well, the ultimate on Chelizi all gets converted into AP ratios. So this is where you start to see a lot more damage come out when you're going an AP route like Holder. That ult really does pack a punch, and then you've got all your follow-up to come through as well. And the burst potential strong on a Sylas at this stage.
Yeah, and Xiaopeng clearly underestimating that, just as I did. So,
well, look at the level difference, because that's the big thing here. Xiaopeng has been set so far behind with this continuous invade from Haro and from Wuming that he's quite underleveled relative to the rest of the game. He's the same as the
He's 2
supports.
levels behind Haro.
Yeah,
That's
he's the
insane.
same level as the supports right now.
I hadn't actually quite realized how far behind Xiaopeng was. Let's just remember, we talked about this being the matchup between the junglers here. You can see the 20 CS lead there. ZWuJi tries to find a way onto ZWuJi. There's a teleport coming through. ZWuJi's got some backup from his squad, but as does the rest of DMO. That's going to be a pull straight on towards Chelizi, who just is not tanky enough yet in this game. Another kill for Haro, but he's answered. Let's kill over to xubin, which for DMO, they're loving to have kills on this Varus. Now it's Lei, left out to dry by the rest of his team, and Twila finds a slow, will pull back ZWuJi with the shockwave in the meantime. Another kill goes the way of xubin.
And they can actually get some of these turret plates now as well. Siege potential from xubin sky high, especially with how low ZWuJi is.
They're going to just continue the siege here. Bear in mind, the poke is getting insane coming out from xubin. He's got that Umbral Glaive. Wuming went for the Dominus here and just runs into a whole bunch of damage. I don't know about that one, Chief.
That was a lot of mistakes coming through from Rogue Warriors. ZWuJi hit level 9, decided he needed to level up his Q. I think it was his Q. Yeah, it would be Q at this stage. So that means that then he ends up getting hit by a bunch of damage from Xiaopeng. And Wuming as well ends up taking a bunch of damage. So you can see anyway, the turret plate gold, a lot going over towards DMO. And these early plays are really starting to rack up for DMO.
But in terms of the gold, we're still pretty much even at this point. Haro steps into the jungle. We got a 2v2 on our hands here. Twila decides he has to back away. He doesn't have any mana.
But don't forget, the team fighting and that late game scaling is on DMO. So if this early game is going even, it's a win for DMO.
I'll keep that in mind, but one thing I will say is this series so far, the teams have kind of ignored their win conditions. They've not really listened to scaling necessarily. And especially with a Mountain Soul in play, that certainly can change things. We're going to fight on our hands here, Dagda.
I was kind of hovering to see what way are we going to have this start off, because I never know with Rogue Warriors.
What do I need to keep my eyes on in this fight?
Poke from xubin right now, and if they can actually get access as Rogue Warriors to xubin with the dive potential.
Let's have to see what xubin can do. He's got 2 kills. He's got himself a second serrated Dirk here as well.
It is a great call from DMO. Rogue Warriors need to be set up properly to try and have flank positions onto DMO, but with where the vision for DMO is right now, Rogue Warriors can't find that. They threaten the turret, drawing Rogue Warriors back in towards the mid lane, and it sets up for an easier front to back for DMO.
And it's bought a little bit of time, enough time for this Mountain Drake to be spawning in 10 seconds now. So if Rogue Warriors commit to this Herald, they're going to trade a Drake.
And honestly, you can have Xiaopeng just try and solo this off as as the rest of DMO take the mid lane structure and the dragon. Rogue Warriors are caught.
There's a macro play being made before our eyes in DMO against Rogue Warrior. I'm too happy to believe it. I'm speechless here. Is ZWuJi going to be locked up by the Varus holder, try to get over the wall. Nice little snipe from Chelizi. Knockups across the team as Twila gets a shockwave only onto ZWuJi. And Wuming pops Dominus once again at the end of the fight. I'm not going to lie, Wuming don't look great on the Renekton.
So here's the thing, you got to remember, when you're a Renekton, it's about managing your Fury. So oftentimes you will just pop the Fury, or pop the Dominus to set up for having enough Fury to burn a bunch of damage out. But hang on.
Lei pulls someone in here, and it's going to be ZWuJi trying to get damage onto ZWuJi, but ZWuJi is very tanky on the Leona, especially when he's got the Eclipse available. But Rift Herald comes down in this mid lane, and it's actually Rogue Warriors that are going to be the ones to find the mid lane tower in the end.
We'll be traded for the bottom lane tower, so we'll be 2 for 1 in towers when we get to the end of this play. But still, good call here from Rogue Warriors to at least answer back, because there was never going to be an answer on that bottom side of the map.
It just depends on if Chelizi can actually finish that tower off. He is Ornn, but he did build a Mortal Reminder, so that little bit of extra AD pretty much just split push Ornn at this point.
He's just the executioner's kind right now. He hasn't gone the full way.
Oh, that's
so
true. That's
we're okay. But Holder will be down here to clear this out for the moment, so not quite able to get that bottom lane structure. Still, though, the Dragons are super important for DMO in this type of game because it's all about surviving the dive that Rogue Warriors are going for. So if you're stacking up a bunch of these mountain dragons and you have access to the stole, especially Chelizi and ZWuJi, you're going to be so damn tanky and nigh on impossible for Rogue Warriors to get through.
One thing that we also have to say when we look at the other side of the scoreboard is if it were Rogue Warriors that were able to stack some of these Mountain Drakes, Xubin is going to just become entirely irrelevant later in the game. Like, lethality doesn't do well when everyone's stacking armor. When you get Mountain Drakes, you automatically stack armor, whether you like it or not. So Xubin will have a really hard time if Rogue Warriors are able to find any control when it comes to those Drakes. But so far, so good for DMO.
Still though, DMO are struggling to keep control of their jungle. You see now, Lei and ZWuJi moving in to get vision control, and Lei actually maybe on his own here, but I mean, Haro's been stealing away his camps this minute too. I mean, Haro's got more CS than the mid and the top lane right now. That just tells you how quickly he's been farming these jungles.
Haro's a beast when it comes to the Nidalee, and Nidalee has been an exceptionally high priority ban in the LPL recently, so you can kind of understand why when you can do exactly this to a game, especially if the early game is slower. Tower finally goes down here, but the answer from Rogue Warriors is going to be to fight, apparently. Lei is pretty low, though. Needs to be careful. Ults galore across the fight here, and neither of them get hit. Somehow, ZWuJi gets to the back of the fight, finds himself killed straight off the back of this one. And Rogue Warriors, the fight is over as quickly as it begins.
Yeah, well, you say that, it's not quite over.
It's back on again. They go straight onto UA, but into the backline goes Xiaopeng, and he's dropped immediately. Hold it with a stopwatch. Oh, what was that? Haro! Nice little javelin, and on towards his mid lane.
That was the perfect fight for Rogue Warriors. They've managed to completely swarm around DMO, which is why it was so convincing. And now they're cracking open turrets. Could continue to push it.
Look at Haro's score right now, 5-2-1. He's got more CS than half the carries in the game, and they're straight in towards his mid lane. They're not going to commit to the inhibitor, but you know what? You'll take a 2-tower push.
Exactly, and terrible call from DMO to try and go for that mid lane turret. There was no minions there, which meant it takes you longer to get through that structure. But look at where Rogue Warriors are coming from. It's all different angles. Xubin gets caught. I think, to be fair to the guys here, a lot of Ornn ultimates, nobody knows who's is who. But Xubin does get caught out by the depth charge, which just means the Varus goes down. Twila's not in a position to be the big carry here yet, where he can actually turn these fights again with the damage that this Orianna can put out. So as long as Xubin's dead, Rogue Warriors are free to continue pushing forward, and Haro gets a nice double kill.
Beautiful little snipe at the end there. That was disastrous from Xiaopeng, though. He tried to make the play, tried to be the hero, just gets bopped as soon as he flies into the fight. And now, we've got 50 seconds until another Mountain Drake spawns. DMO are the ones with the priority when it comes to these Drakes so far in the game, but with the way that Haro is right now, I don't know if they want to fight.
I think they do, to be honest. It's DMO, if you can set up properly, where you've actually got your front line in the front, you're not getting flanked on multiple sides. Ooh, hey.
How often do you see a Kentucky Fried chart like that? 50-50 right now from the Colonel at 21 minutes in the game. In game number 3, this is what I'm up for right now. Wuming trying to get into the back of the fight as the Solar Flare goes down straight away. Goodbye, Haro. Goodbye, Gold Leaf for Rogue Warriors. Knock up onto Holder as well, but he turns Gold on the back of the fight. ZWuJi with a 1v1 onto the jungler, but Twila finishes the kill in the end. And now it's Wuming. He's onto the backline himself, trying to finish off Twila, just annihilates the little clockwork girl. And now Holder straight back on in. UA is going to be the one to fall as he flashes over the wall here. Chelizi getting away as well. But with no jungle, hang on, Chelizi should not get a kill here. This is not how that's meant to go down, but you know what? It flashes out. It's going to be Rogue Warriors that can start the Drake.
It doesn't matter what you think, Munch. This is Rogue Warriors versus DMO. And now Rogue Warriors can turn over towards this dragon, but again, Rogue Warriors are doing a great job of finding fights where they're able to get onto multiple different angles of attack for Xubin. And Xubin's got nowhere to go. He's got no flash available, and it means this Varus can't do any work in these fights.
They need to finish this dragon off quick because Varus is nearly here, and those Qs do a lot, but dragon finished off. So with 2 dragons apiece now.
But again, DMO are setting up all over the place here. There's nowhere safe for Xubin to go to. ZWuJi gets in and sets up alongside the dive here from Wuming. Now, you do trade carry for carry, which is why it's a little bit messier. But right now, Wuming is a bigger carry than Twila is, and he's able to do so much more work in the back.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it every time we see a Renekton, right? This is the point in the game where they really want to fight. This is the strongest Wuming is going to be. And he's able to show that just 100-0 on Twila. And it has to be said, the Orianna from Twila not really looking so hot.
Well, it's not the position that Twila is going to be strong at. right now. He has gone for a more mid-game focused build again. He loves this GLP on a bunch of mages in the mid lane, but still...
It's not about the champion, it's about the item.
Yeah, and the thing is, the champion is not at a point where it can be strong because of the item and because of the timing in this game. So when Xubin goes down, it's a lot bigger of a deal.
Xubin pulling the trigger here, but Haro's got a stopwatch so he keeps himself safe, but it's Xubin that's in trouble instead. See you later, Varus, says ZWuJi, as they now try and commit onto Chelizi as well. He's going to be tanky though, and they don't have a huge amount of damage. They will eventually burn on through his health bar. Baron is up right now, and that's two of the big players from DMO down.
This is, after how good of an early, well, mid-game, I'm going to say DMO had in the last game, they have completely lost the plot here in game number 3, where Xubin is consistently being left out in the open. He's been dove on, and you're trying to fight 3 versus you don't know how many are coming in on the Rogue Warrior side, so DMO are losing.
Play going to play keep away here as Twila is knocked up time and time again. Bounce house and a half as UA goes down as well. And Rogue Warriors can just rinse and repeat.
I mean, it could be another round. Xubin is TPing in. They will still want to try and poke and contest this, apparently.
This is how the game falls apart for DMO if they continue to contest, because they're not going to win this time either. Xiaopeng and Xubin arrive, and there's a good amount of poke there, but Xiaopeng has to look for a miracle still. It's, oh, what? He gets it! How do you pull that off now late? Looking for the fight, is it's going to be just kills. That's what Rogue Warriors needs at this point. They're on to Chelizi as well. Another 2 kills for Haro. He's got 9 kills in this game, and he's looking for his 10th onto Chelizi here. The plasma procced. That's one going towards Wuming. And you know what? They got the Baron, but I don't know if they even got it on anyone.
You might be right. I don't know actually if anyone has it left up and available, but they stop Rogue Warriors getting the Baron, and honestly, I don't know.
I've given up on this series, Doctor. I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, look, just get me to top esports and FPX. That's what I need right now. I need a palate cleanser to come in, but yeah, this
My
is
voice is dying as well. I don't know if you heard me screech during that fight, but it's already getting dicey here, boys and girls. 8-17. Rogue Warriors clearly winning out when it comes to the fighting. And Xiaopeng has had a really rough game, but you know what? Smiting the Baron away, denying that from Rogue Warriors, still going to be good for DMO. I just want to see UA if he managed to get the Baron buff. He's the only one left that potentially could have had.
Yeah, I don't understand this play from Xubin, though. I mean, what was the hope? You don't have Xiaopeng there. Twila's off in the in the Baron area. You don't know where Rogue Warriors are. You're just giving them a chance to make plays like this. And yeah, it's strange calls coming through from DMO. And the fact that there was 3 members committed and nobody else is a bit of an odd one. But here we go. We will end up seeing Xiaopeng's point of view as he does manage to just about get the steal. So, great play from him to set that play up, especially when he's got the level disadvantage that he does have. But yeah, I'm not sure there who actually ended up with the...
I mean, ultimately, that's a matter of Haro thinking he's been kept away. I'm safe on this one. And then he goes for the ward jump flash, so he closes that distance so effectively and gets the smite down. So Haro kind of underestimating his opponent there a little bit. Twila's just going to be trying to clear some of these wards. See the damage percent, 30% here from ZWuJi so far on the Kai'Sa.
And we got our answer. Nobody on DMO actually has that Baron buff. So, I mean, from a gameplay point of view, it just means that this dragon that's about to spawn becomes far more important because you got no pushing lanes anywhere.
You're absolutely right, Dagda. In the meantime, Holder at least gets to push onto this tier 1, so should hopefully find himself an objective just before the dragon spawns here. And realistically, even if you could contest this, yeah, it's just not worth it from the side of DMO. That is not the objective you want to fight for.
I'm looking at the itemization, though, on Rogue Warriors side. We have got the AP Kai'Sa, so this is a very AP-dependent team on DMO, or on Rogue Warriors side. I wanted to see Chelizi actually start to opt into way more magic resistance.
I'm surprised Xiaopeng committed to that minion wave there. That was a little bit dicey for him, but he gets out with his life, so he's gonna just put Worth in all chat and get on out of there. A lot of summoners on cooldown, though. Bear in mind, Xiaopeng's flash is going to be on cooldown. So if he wants to try and make one of these flashy Lee Sin plays, it's going to be more difficult. But you know what? He's saying, sod it, we're not going to contest.
No, the dragon will go over uncontested to Rogue Warriors. DMO not convinced that they are able to win out these fights. Not in a position to try and get that early poke off as well.
Did you see that? The Nidalee Q there in Cougar form just did 900 damage to a Krug. that is terrifying. Like, I played a lot of Lethality Varus. You have about 900 health total. So if Haro ever gets onto xubin during these fights, xubin's done.
And the thing here for Rogue Warriors is they have plenty of ways that they can try and play out this game. They're starting to get these side waves in order, but the whole idea here is that they're going to try and collapse in towards the mid lane afterwards, or at least try and group up as this game starts to go forward. Because if you can get this poke from Haro to land, as you talked about how strong it is, well then that dive underneath the tower becomes so much more deadly, especially if you're onto key members on the DMO side.
I mean, Haro continuing to be the top farmer of anyone in the game. As a jungler, he's on 250 CS. He's just been overtaken by ZWuJi now. But
by
like,
one, just to ruin your point.
But ultimately, like, that is insane. He's got 4 items as a jungler. You don't see, like, there are many games that end and junglers are still on 2 items. Like, it's actually insane, the difference when you look at the 2 junglers right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, if you want a showing of that Xiaopeng, is that right there? He still only got his Obsidian Cleaver done and that jungle item, not able to get any more in. And observers seem to have here is because they want to show the 5,000 gold lead that is there for Haro over Xiaopeng.
God. Well, we said that the jungle matchup was the head-to-head to keep your eyes on this series. I don't care how the series ends. Haro's won it at that point.
100%.
Like, that is insane. And Rogue Warriors were the ones winning the early games in all 3 of these games. Haro looked great on the Graves. Like, I'm firmly behind Haro at this point. He is the strongest player on the side of Rogue Warriors.
And he has been. Like, since the beginning, this is the guy that you have the potential to build Rogue Warriors around. And I think that's what Wuming coming into the roster started to show, is that they're happy enough to have a mid laner that will play through Haro, both in the likes of a supportive mid laner like the Karma or the Galio, but also having this Renekton here. You can see how often Wuming is shoving and moving to support Haro and getting these evades down.
Speaking of shoving, he's on to a tier 2 for himself, and he will be able to finish that one off. Teleport is available for him if DMO really commit to this mid lane, but he can just stick around on that side lane for now. Holder gets himself an Ornn, so he knows that him and his team can fight this one. Lace coming in from a flank as Wuming did commit to the teleport. Holder gets a knock-up across the team, and it's just going to be an easy kill onto Xiaopeng here. And Chelizi has been hung out to dry here. I mean, finds a knock-up onto Haro. It's not going to do a whole heap of anything right now. Chelizi searing charge away, but he's going to be finished off. Wuming the one. Actually, no, flashes out, keep himself safe. But straight on towards the Baron here for Rogue Warriors.
Chelizi does have Warmogs though, so he's going to start ticking up nice and healthy pretty quickly. Could TP in as well if he wants to, but you've got a lot of those big engage tools down for DMO side.
Also, there's no jungler. Xiaopeng was the one that died. TP coming through from Holder after recalling. They can just go straight for this one. And we've got a Kai'Sa that's on 3 items. The Muramana is finished. The Rage Blade is there. They burn through the Baron's health bar. And that is another massive neutral objective for Rogue Warriors. They're on Soul Point. They've got a Baron buff. Everything's feeling great for the guys in red.
And it feels like DMO haven't really figured out how they want to approach these fights at all. Because in my head, it's just Chelizi, Dway, you're in the front line. We're going to have Twila and xubin playing in this back line. Twila can push up and threaten the likes of ZWuJi if he hasn't used the ultimate. And you've got so much CC and damage that it's really difficult for Rogue Warriors to try and break through onto the back line like with xubin and Twila positioning. But instead, DMO are opting into these wonky fights where they don't quite know where Rogue Warriors are, and they're finding multiple backline access points, and it means that Rogue Warriors are consistently finding at least those mid-game fights, and now that we're approaching the later portion of the game, they're so far ahead. You've got Liandry's Torment on Haro, who can just burst so many members of DMO. The only person who can really withstand it now is Chelizi.
At 30 minutes into the game, Haro is full build. He has all 6 items. Like, he is insane at this stage of the game, and Mountain Soul is about to spawn for them in 25 seconds if they're the ones to grab it. Lei gets hit by a Sonic Wave, but he's happy to go for this fight right now. Commits to this one as he uses the Eclipse to keep himself safe. Chelizi tanking up, and in comes the rest of the team now. As DMO are kind of just forced away, kept at arm's length. Lei somehow surviving all of this. Spear onto the backline from Haro. He's not going to jump over just yet. Shockwave onto a couple of them, but Haro gets 1 kill for himself. Chelizi running out of HP here, but ZWuJi did survive, jumps over and finishes the kill onto Xiaopeng. And now into this mid lane. They already got the tower earlier on, so this is an inhib for free. Holder forces the flash out xubin as well. Rogue Warriors won everything.
And finally you can see, hey, If DMO are in these choke points, they can get front to back. It looks so much better. The problem is they're 10,000 goal behind, and Rogue Warriors are on the next.
Oh, I think this one's done for because there's another hook from Lei. Another spear just goes wide of xubin. But Haro, he's got a shooting range for himself. He can just launch these out on towards the fountain while the rest of his team ends the game. The winless Warriors are winless no more, ladies and gentlemen.